Hi everybody, welcome back. Crochet through Corona again, and today we are working on our coaster using crocheting in the round. So in our previous video we learned how to do a magic chain. I am just going to recap that for you very quickly to make my own. So I've got the loose part of my yarn in front of my fingers. I'm pulling the attached part of the yarn over the back of my fingers, round and underneath and across to make this cross shape here. Putting my hook underneath the first piece of yarn, the top right of the X, pulling the other piece of yarn, oh I got my split my yarn there, underneath, twist, yarn over and pull through, and we have our magic ring. Fantastic, and we're ready to start. So we start by doing our half double crochets into this circle. So it's sort of as if you were just going into a normal stitch. Instead you're going to go into this circle, and it might seem a bit wobbly and funny at first, but you will get the hang of it. So we're going to start with 12 half double crochets into this circle. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the ring, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through. That's our first half double crochet. Yarn over again, yarn hook into the ring, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through, all 3 loops on the hook. And we're going to do that for a total of 12. So I've done 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you keep a bit of tension on your ring, it makes it a little bit easier. 9, 10, 11, 12. I think I've done 12, but before I go any further, I am going to check. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have got 12, so you can either count the pillars in your ring, or you can count the V's on the top. So I have 12, which means I can now pull my ring shut. And you just pull the loose bit of yarn, your tail end, and you just keep pulling till it's nice and tight. Once you've got about 12 stitches in there, you might struggle to tighten it up completely depending on how thick your yarn is. But just pull it as tight as you can. And then we're going to do a slip stitch to our very first half double crochet. So that's the first V here. And to do that we put our hook in, yarn over, pull through, and pull through the loop on our hook as well. And then again you might want to tighten up. That is our first ring, our first circle. Well done if you got to this point. You have completed working into a magic ring. This will open up so many possibilities. Some people chain that first half double crochet, so they would have done chain 2 when they first made their magic ring, and that would have counted as your first half double crochet. Personally, I'm not a big fan of that method. I find it makes my work quite gappy, so I didn't chain and instead just made my first half double crochet and then crocheted into the top, slip stitch into the top of the first one. And that is how I'm going to continue from now on in. This is where, instead of doing a turning chain, we now chain 1 to move ourselves onto the next level to go round. And again, in some patterns they might tell you to chain 2 and act as the first half double crochet, or first whatever you've got. They might tell you to make a chain to represent the first one and then go into the next stitch instead. But personally, again, I just prefer to do the chain 1 and then go into the same stitch. Now we'll be doing a lot of working into the same stitch here because we have to grow the number of stitches to make it not fold up as we go. So this time we're going to do, we've made a start of 12 and we have to add 12 stitches every round we do, and that's how we'll keep it flat. If we didn't do that, we'd end up making a cone. So to add the 12 stitches the first time round, we're going to do 2 half double crochets in each stitch. So into the first stitch is my 1 and then 2 into the same stitch. So it's increasing effectively. You are increasing to make sure you're not making a cone. Instead you're trying to make something nice and flat. And we're going to do 2 half double crochets into every stitch going round. To avoid this video being super long, I've actually got loads of what I prepared earlier, so I'm going to leave this here and pick this up on another piece. So I'll just finish that 2 into that hole there. So you're doing 2 half double crochets into each stitch around. And this is getting towards the end of my 2 half double crochets all the way around. I've got my last one to do. Actually, I've got the other half of that one to do as well. So into my last one, I'm going to do 2, and that is my last one. Even though it looks like there might be another little one here, that is my slip stitch. So we don't work into the slip stitch, we ignore the slip stitch. So if you did quite loose tension on your slip stitch, it might look like a normal stitch. It isn't. And you can tell by going back and counting how many stitches. And to start with, I really would recommend you do this at the end of each row. You want to have 24 stitches at the end of this round. So instead of working in rows, we call it working in rounds. So this is round 1 and this is round 2. And when you've checked that you've got 24 stitches going around the outside, again either counting the pillars or counting the V's on the top, we're going to half double crochet into the top of the first, we're going to slip stitch into the top of the first half double crochet. So not into the chain 1 that we did to move up to the next level, but into the top V, first V on the top. And there's my slip stitch. And then we chain 1 to move on to the third round, and in this round we're going to do 1 half double crochet in the first stitch, and then we're going to do 2 half double crochets into the second stitch, and that pattern is going to be repeated all the way around. And that's because we still need to add another 12 to this round to keep it flat. So alternating, we do 1 half double crochet into the next stitch and then 2 half double crochets into the stitch after. So it's 1 and then 2 and then 1 and then 2, just repeating that all the way around the outside. And at the end of that row you should have 36, she says, doing maths off the top of her head. And handily, I have one that I'm nearly at the end of, just here. So I've got my last 2 to do. I'm going to do 1 half double crochet and then 2 into the last stitch. Remembering not to go into the slip stitch. If you've got it right, the numbers right, you should finish on the increase, because we started with the 1, then we did 2, then 1, then 2. So the last stitch should be 2. And again, please do count at the end so that you know you're on the right track. And then we're going to slip stitch into the first half double crochet. And you've got it, we chain 1 to move on to the 4th row. So 1, 2, 3, and this is our 4th row. And this time we're going to do 1 half double crochet in the first stitch, 1 half double crochet in the second stitch, and then 2 half double crochets in the 3rd stitch. Again, we need to add those 12 extra stitches in each round to make it flat. So I'll tell you that again. It's 1, 1, and then 1, 2 in the 3rd one. You'll find your own way of keeping track of where you're up to. I like to go 1, 1, 1, 2 is how I count when I'm going. But you will find your own little way of managing that, and you're doing that all the way around. Isn't this like a colourful little display that I've got going on? And so I'm nearly at the end here. I've got my last little set to do, my last little repeat, so I'm going to do 1, 1, 1, 2. And then again, be careful not to go into your slip stitch. There should be one little chain in between there, and then you're going into the top of your first half double crochet with a slip stitch. And then you've got your final round to do. So we chain 1 to move into the 5th round. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're starting the 5th round. And you can probably work out how this is going to go. You're going to do 1 in the 1st stitch, 1 in the 2nd stitch, 1 in the 3rd stitch, and then 2 in the 4th stitch. And then we repeat it. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2 in the 4th. And you repeat it all the way around. And once you've finished and got all the way around, which I won't let sit here and make you watch because that would be very dull, you will have your completed coaster. So it won't have the pattern on the front, obviously. You do exactly the same, slip stitch to join, or if you've mastered the invisible join by now, you can, after you've done the last stitch, your last increase, if you cut your yarn and pull through, so if this is an increase, so if at this point, obviously having come all the way around to the end, so it would be here, but if you cut your yarn and then pull it through and then use your needle to thread it through and go in and make that fake stitch that we've done in some of the previous videos, then you can make an invisible stitch before fastening off. And actually in the next video, while I'm teaching you this surface pattern, I will show you how to do that as well. So see you in the next video.